Namaste. Welcome back to my channel, guys. This is Dr. Danny. This video is for you Venus lovers out there. And as I was putting this video together, and saving all the things I needed to do it, I realized that I have been doing Venus transits for you guys for about a year now, a little bit over a year. So that is truly exciting, and I am quite proud of that accomplishment. Just a couple of quick announcements about Venus. If you're at all interested in learning what I know about Venus, what I have discovered over the past year as we've watched Venus through all the signs, is a Venus practicum course. It's two parts. There's the basic and the advanced Venus practicum. They were both recorded live this year. It is about 4 hours of content. I will leave that link below for you if you're interested in checking out the Venus practicum so that you guys can really learn and follow along here. Other classes, we just finished the Pluto class this past week. That was amazing. That was really intense and fantastic. So I will leave a link for that for you as well. And then today we're going to talk about Venus in Aries. This is, I started this whole Venus transits, watching Venus when she first entered Taurus last year on April 4th. And now she is going through the last of the constellations. So this whole constellational journey is now beginning again here in Aries. So we'll talk a little bit about what Venus in Aries feels like. Then there's three big things that we need to talk about during the Venus transit through Aries. So this is what this forecast is about. The first is the Venus squaring onto Pluto. That is about a 5-day event that will occur right as Pluto is stationing retrograde. Then there is a boomerang yod about a week later, with Venus and Saturn sextiling and both of them quincunxing onto the South Node. And then Mars is the action or the mission, as well as Chiron on the North Node. So a lot of good energy coming. And then the last thing at the end is Venus is making her conjunction with the sun. So what will happen there is she's within 10 degrees as we get a little bit further into Aries. She's within 10 degrees of the sun. And on June 4th, she will make a superior conjunction with the sun, meaning that this is the beginning of a new Venus creative cycle. So for those of you that are kind of feeling like the wind's coming out of your sails, like you're just waiting for like the next big thing to start happening, get ready because it's going to start. Venus will go from morning star to evening star. She's probably already started to disappear. You really can't see her in the morning anymore. And probably about the end of June, early July, we'll see her emerge as the evening star. It's going to be quite spectacular. So with that, let me share my screen. We'll get started. I want to show you the sky first. So we'll go over here into stellarium-web.org. This transit starts on April 30th, so that's where we are. This is the sun directly in the constellation of Aries. You can see Mercury over here in Pisces, and then if you look back further over here, you see Mars has just entered Pisces and is conjunct Neptune and has just left the conjunction with Saturn. And then Jupiter and Uranus are over here about to enter Taurus together. In fact, by the time this recording comes out, Jupiter will have entered Taurus. So let's watch this for a few days and see what happens. So here's Venus entering into the stars of Aries. This is short. This is only till the 17th, you guys, but you can see as she gets closer and closer and closer. Oh, that was the new moon. We'll talk about that. She gets closer and closer to the sun. And so this is when the transit stops, when the sun is conjunct both Jupiter and Uranus, right at the very beginning of Taurus, conjunct the Pleiades. Let's just take this a few more days further because I want you to see this Venus conjunction. So see how she gets closer and closer and closer to the sun. And then on June 4th, makes that perfection. And remember, she's on the other side of the sun from our perspective. So she is in service to the sun pretty much the whole time she's in Aries and most of the time that she's in Taurus. But I'm very much looking forward to seeing the evening star. Let's also look at this movement on a chart because I think what's so great about astrology is not just what the energies are, but also how they move. Okay, so we will take this through those days. This is April 30th. Venus is right here at the cusp of Aries and Pisces. Here's the sun right in the middle of Aries. Here's Jupiter in Taurus and Uranus about to make a transit into Taurus. So let's watch this. And watch Pluto too, because in a day or two, Pluto will go retrograde. There it is, right there. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about this square that Venus makes to retrograde Pluto. And then there is this yod with Venus that forms on the 11th of May, right here. So Venus and Saturn form a yod with the nodes and Mars and Chiron as the moon is squaring onto that energy as well. So Venus will be in a sextile to Saturn there. We'll talk about that gift. And then that completes the transit as she gets closer and closer to the sun. All right. So what do you say we look at the calendars? Let me pull up these graphics for you. This is the end of April and into May. This was my general graph that I used for the Holy Shifts video for the full moon to the new moon. So I describe all of this energy in that video. I'll leave a link at the end of the video so you guys can check that out if you want to get a heads up on all the general energies, not just Venus. But here is when Venus transits into Aries on the 30th. Mercury is now direct. Mars is conjunct Neptune. Venus and Pluto make a square. Mars and Pluto make a sextile as Pluto goes retrograde here on the 2nd. Uranus enters Taurus. And then the sun sextiles Saturn and Chiron and Mercury are conjunct. So that's sort of the beginning of this transit. That's the general energy that's available and also the end of it. So you can see how it's going. Okay. So let's move into the next calendar, which is just Venus. And so here you can see the square to Pluto. Then here's the boomerang yod we're going to talk about. And then we'll talk a little bit more about this upcoming Venus-Sun conjunction, which is huge. And then here at the end, Venus will conjunct Jupiter and Uranus and then make a semi-sextile to the North Node. I forgot to label that, but that's what that says right there. So let me actually just write that in there so I don't forget. So Venus will semi-sextile the North Node here. Or is that one? Uh-oh. Let me see. Oh, Chiron. She said semi-sextile is Chiron. So Chiron, the key. Okay. Okay, so there's some healing energy here that's available to us. Let me talk to you guys briefly about Venus in Aries before we look at all this. I created this graphic for us. And I'm gonna read to you. I basically got this off of Quora. This was a very nice summary of Venus and Aries, and it was done by a lady named Tidy or Tiddy, T-I-D-Y. So if you want to find her, I'm going to give her props for this description. So Venus in Aries, this is a contradictory Venus. It's a Venus that when things feel too deep, tries to draw away and make light of the moment. It's a Venus that when things feel too skimmed over, tries to push everyone's heads underwater. Venus in Aries is that annoying urge to push your best friend who happens to be very scared of the water straight into the pool. And sometimes it's the mischievousness of doing all kinds of things in an attempt to get someone who won't look your way to trip over their own 2 feet just to get a second glance at you. It's often the urge to flee when too many people expect to come out and do this thing right now. This is a Venus that doesn't like to be told what to do. You simply cannot tell an Aries Venus what to do. Loving a Venus in Aries is about loving someone who can't be told what to do. Venus in Aries might like to win, but it doesn't like to play another person's game. Sometimes it's surprising how uncompetitive Venus in Aries is. This is because Venus in Aries drops out when it senses that it has no stakes in the game. Venus in Aries chooses what it pays attention to. You don't get to choose for her. And Venus in Aries will only do things if there's something meaningful at stake. This is also a Venus that hunts. However, a Venus in Aries is often a Venus that doesn't know what it's doing. A good hunter lays in wait and observes and moves at the right moment. A Venus in Aries is in pursuit, behaves rather like a fool. She comes on full force, revealing all of her colors, sits down in front of you and says, I like you so much. Don't you like me too? There are no games with a Venus in Aries. There's barely any flirting. There's no lengthy pursuit. There's a point A and a point B. Aries Venuses care about the distance between these 2 points and why they've not made you fall in love with them just quite yet. Sometimes loving a Venus in Aries is about loving adrenaline and fear. Being pursued by a Venus in Aries and pursuing as a Venus in Aries is very scary. There's no illusions, there's no allusions, there's only a direct and candid expression of vulnerability. It's terrifying. What a Venus in Aries wants most of all is not a weight to their scale, but someone to balance their talents and their flaws, someone who murmurs over their wounds, or even someone who waits for them. Venus in Aries wants a partner in crime. This isn't a Venus that's concerned about doing good and making sure they are seen doing good. This is a Venus that moves with action first. Venus in Aries wouldn't be caught dead talking about their own good works. Venus in Aries acts and then wonders what it all means later. They need to be able to move and to think about things before moving means wasting valuable motivation and time. So if you're thinking about something, you're wasting time. This is why an Aries Venus is so hopelessly attracted to the mischievous. Embodying mischievousness gives them the permission that they need to move at the pace that they need. Venus in Aries doesn't care about how they're seen. Rumpled collar, bedhead, mismatched socks, sloppily dressed with shoes. Even as artists, Venus in Aries are anti-aesthetic. They have an instinctive derision towards aesthetics. They sense that aesthetics are a kind of bureaucracy that they have no time, no patience for. Let's just get the thing done and who cares how it looks. You'll notice that those with Venus in Aries don't usually have a lot of stuff either. When it comes to love, Venus in Aries wants it hard. They don't like to share. They'll deal with sharing a little bit as long as there's something that they have just for themselves. When they like you, they want you all for themselves. They want to keep you and they want to eat you. Desire for Venus in Aries is violently physical. They don't care for endless discussing it or romanticizing it. They're actually quite anti-romance. They care that their desire is carnal and there's something that they need to do about it. Loving a Venus in Aries is about loving the body. It's about loving what the body does, all of its instantaneous expressions. It's about loving the way the body cries, unbuckles, and relents when you're least expecting it. It's about loving a body that is uncontrolled. And when Aries Venus doesn't like something or someone, it really can't be moved otherwise. They'll change their mind surely and often because this is a cardinal sign, but they don't do it if too many people ask them to. If Venus in Aries likes to win, always hate being won over. So the most frustrating thing about a Venus in Aries is that they'll sometimes ask you what you like, only to inform you quite plainly that they prefer something different. This doesn't disturb them. They don't mind having different preferences. Rather, it stimulates them. Loving Venus in Aries is about loving that difference. It's about loving acceptance because Venus in Aries believes that acceptance is important, not when you're the same, but when you're different. So when a Venus in Aries loves you, they expect you to love yourself as hard and as relentlessly as they do. That's the expectation of Venus in Aries. So I just thought that was a fantastic description. It kind of brought it to life. It brought it into, something that we can all work with. You can actually picture this kind of Venus in your mind. So on the 30th, as Venus enters into Aries, we have Venus square to Pluto. This will last from the 29th until the 4th. So this whole week that we're dealing with this, Mars is also sextiling onto Pluto. You can see this here. So we have a square by Venus and a sextile by Mars as Pluto moves retrograde. That's what we're dealing with the week that Venus moves into Aries. So what is a Venus squaring onto Pluto? What does that feel like? What's that energy like? A square to Pluto in the natal chart is one of the most painful astrological combinations you can have as a natal configuration. Makes it very difficult for you to truly express your creativity, your love, and your value, because there's so much wounding that goes on with Pluto. There's so much deep subconscious wounding energy down there, and fear as well. And so a lot of times it ends up being reflected or pushed outward into some sort of hurt. Um, there's usually an obsession here over our creation. So, an obsession over the love that we have, an obsession over our children, an obsession over the thing that it is that we're creating, or our passion. There's a chance for being abused in the sensation of arousal. So, there's a fear for actually getting lit up, getting fired up, getting excited, because there's been a pattern of some sort of emotional, physical, mental, spiritual abuse in that arousal energy. Um, so anytime you have an energy between Pluto and Venus like this, it can be nice. It can be nice, but together, the two of them go through the ecstatic bliss of destruction and the ecstatic bliss of creation. And so holding on to anything is very, very poor form when Venus is square to Pluto, because you're going to have to let it go and it's going to be painful. So then you add on this like snarky Aries energy on top of it, and it could be quite explosive. It could be a quite interesting week for those of you either with bad aspect Plutos or badly aspected Venuses. So as all this is happening, Pluto then decides to station retrograde. So this is a little bit of a longer transit. Usually they're about 3 or 4 days for Venus, and because of the speed that which she moves, but because Pluto's slowing down, there's more energy to use here. So what happens when Pluto goes retrograde? Well, it does this for about 5 or 6 months every single year. So half of us usually will have a Pluto in retrograde. And the way that I like to look at retrograde, a lot of times astrologers will say it weakens the planet, it makes it less effective. But when I look at the solar system, right, when I look at planets, actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and open up a solar system for y'all so you can see what I'm talking about. Let's just go there. 3D solar system, the sky live. So we'll take out these comments because they confuse things. But let's zoom out of this solar system a little bit. And let's see, where's Earth? Okay, here's Earth. Now Mercury is stationing direct, but Mercury was retrograde. So let's go back a few days. This is when Mercury was retrograde. See how it's on the same side of the sun? It's Earth. The same thing happens when the planets that are out here also go retrograde. So now what's happening is Pluto is on the Earth side of the sun. And as the Earth moves, we'll zoom in a little bit, you can see as the days move on, actually, we should probably go by months. Let's go a few days at a time. See how the Earth moves in front of Pluto? There's Pluto, there's Earth, and then there's the sun. Okay. So when I talk about this in a chart, a retrograde planet is on your side. So that means it's 93 million miles closer to you. You've got your sun here, you've got your Earth here. This distance is 93 million miles. That's huge. And now Pluto's going to be on this side. It's going to be on our side. So it's going to be working with us. Okay. And I think that the internal response, or the weakening of it as an external reflection of what's going on inside of us, is because of this. Right. So I think that the reason that it's weakened, or the reason that it's internal, is a direct result of its location in the solar system. Okay. If you guys want to learn more about Pluto, about how to work with Pluto, how to use the alchemy of Pluto, because Pluto is a magician. I mean, you can take lead and turn it into gold with Pluto. I've got the Pluto course, which we just did. I've got a Pluto reading, which is phenomenal. I read your Pluto in great detail, as well as your sun, moon, rising, and lunar nodes. Then we take your Pluto and we look at what's happening with the current Pluto in the sky and your natal chart. Then we take your progressed chart, aspect it back to your natal chart, and see what Pluto's doing for you. And then we take your solar arc chart as well. This reading's about 45 minutes to 60 minutes. And you also get access to my Pluto Alchemy meditation, which has music in it that was created by me using the cosmic octave frequency of Pluto that was derived by Hans Cousteau in the book, The Cosmic Octave, as well as the Fibonacci sequences used in this music. It's a guided meditation. I take you to the planet Pluto, and from there we do a root, sacral, and solar plexus chakra grounding. So if you want just the meditation, you can do that. If you want a reading, you'll get the meditation as part of that. And then I have the class. So Pluto is covered here. If you guys want to know more about Pluto, I'm going to leave a link for that below so you guys can check that out. All right. Shortly during this particular transit on the 3rd of May, Uranus transits into Taurus. So this will be a long transit. It takes 84 years for Uranus to transit the entire zodiac. So 84 years ago was when the last time that Uranus was in Taurus. This is going to be a unique and unexpected manifestation, a metamorphosis of the things that we hold value to, the things that make us feel secure. With Jupiter here as well, there's going to be expansive and abundant opportunities to change the way we create value. This to me feels very much like an abundance transit. I feel like things that we don't expect are absolutely going to happen, but that they're for our better good. So if you don't know about money, learn about unique trading opportunities, unique investing opportunities, unique business opportunities, because this is the type of energy where you'll find that the investments that you make now really pay off for you in the future. Okay, so then the following Tuesday on the 7th, we get an Aries new moon. And this is the newest new moon since the last eclipse, because the last eclipse was the totality. So this is in Aries, which is the sign of new beginnings. And this is also when Venus, Jupiter, Uranus, Sun, and Moon are all going to be conjunct in a big Taurus party. Okay, so this week coming up after this square to Pluto, whatever challenge that is for us here, we're going to be feeling pretty good as the time draws into this next week. So that should be a very nice week. Again, all that we have here is a Sun sextile Saturn and a Mercury conjunct to Chiron. So this week will be pretty good. A lot of new energy coming our way. Then the following week, okay, so 2 weeks from basically right now, we're going to have from basically the 11th to the 14th a boomerang yod in the chart. And we're going to break that down here in just a moment. I have a picture of that chart. So this is it right here. So from the 11th to the 14th, we're going to be dealing with this boomerang yod. And in the middle of it, on the 12th, the sun is going to move into Taurus. So it'll finally be Taurus season. All right, so that big Taurus party we've been talking about is getting ready to get started. And then the week after that, Venus moves into Taurus. So let's talk about this boomerang yod a little bit. I'm going to erase these, and then we're going to look at the boomerang yod of this Venus transit. Okay, so beautiful Venus makes a sextile aspect to Saturn. This is always nice. Venus and Saturn work very well together because Venus kind of takes the edge off Saturn and makes the lessons much nicer. So here we have that. So that's our gift. Okay. And this quincunx from here to here is the challenge. And this is also a challenge. So this is our mission. Look, and the point of fortune's down there too. Isn't that cool? So our mission's down here. Mission and action. And then the reaction is, I feel, I mean, it really goes straight to the node, but you've got, these guys really close to the node as well. So I kind of included them into this. All right. So what does this gift feel like? So whenever you have a Venus, Saturn, and a sextile, you get solid, lasting creative power. There's an ability to manifest here. Everything that you need crystallizes with ease. Everything that you desire crystallizes with ease. There's an ability to teach others too about their innate light. Like if you're feeling really good and you want to help another person, there's definitely energy for doing this. There's also an energy of sacrifice, sacrificing for the higher goal. It really would all depend on what two houses these are in for you. So on this particular chart, it's in the seventh and the ninth house. So it's attaining greater wisdom through relationships. If this were in, say, your third and fifth house, this would be communication of joy. Okay. So whatever the houses are in for you, wherever Venus and Saturn are on your natal chart, whatever, Aries and Aquarius, you want to look at the houses that's affecting for you natally. And then that's where this gift comes through. The challenge is having Saturn quincunx to the South Node. This is a potential that's very difficult to realize. This is like things that I feel like this is things left undone, a responsibility not yet realized. That's what this really kind of says to me. So there might be something that you need to learn that you haven't learned yet. So there's learning, there's a lesson here, perhaps a responsibility that we've overlooked. And it ties into letting go of the karmas, the patterns, releasing the old wounds, because Virgo's very wounded right now. So what lesson, what learning, what responsibility will help you to let go, to help you to transform? Okay. So learning about the magic. I also, even though Virgo's wounded, I also call it a place of magic because this is where there's thousands of galaxies and black hole centers. It's the busiest constellation in terms of galaxies. It's part of the Virgo cluster. It has thousands of galaxies there. So there's a magic there. There's a mystery there. There's an energy turning into matter there. And so what is your responsibility to that energy, to your own energy? The other challenge comes from Venus quincunxing the South Node. And so what kind of inspiration are we looking for? What kind of creation are we looking for? Relationships, beauty and love, right? Are we creating with the dynamic fire of Aries? Remember that Venus that we described in Aries? You know, how can she do better with her relationships? How can she use her enormous power to this is second and ninth house, and so it's the higher wisdom of security, of knowing that, of knowing the security, how to use those manifestation powers. So it's like, so this is learning about the magic, and this is inspiration about the magic, and then this is manifestation through creative teaching, through sacrifice. Okay, so that's the mission, that's the action to leverage that South Node energy in Virgo. And then the reaction or the action is this North Node energy, which is this is our destiny right now as a collective for universal love and oneness. Mars is inspired spiritual action, and Chiron is reconnecting to spirit. So when we reconnect to spirit and we know how connected we are, then we can take inspired action. And so this is that boomerang yaw that we've got from the 11th of May until the 14th of May. Let's go back. We've got, so once that, after the sun moves into Taurus and that eases off, then Venus is getting closer and closer to the sun and will begin to conjunct Jupiter. And then a few days later, will conjunct, actually, during this boomerang yod, she'll conjunct with Uranus. She'll get close enough for that. And then right after the yod, she'll conjunct Jupiter. So between these two conjunctions, when she gets into the orb of both of them, is this yod right here. Okay. So from the 11th, Saturday, the 11th of May, all the way until the 23rd of May, Venus will be conjunct Uranus. And from the 15th of May, all the way until the 29th of May, Venus will be conjunct Jupiter. Venus will enter Taurus on the 17th of May. So you've got all three of these guys conjunct it at the very beginning of Taurus. And I just feel like this is like a new financial abundance, creation transit. I feel like this is like a new shift in energy for everybody. When you've got Venus conjunct Uranus, you've got arousal through freedom, the uniqueness of creation, electric sensuality, and a potential for inappropriate interaction. With Venus conjunct Jupiter, you get abundance and generosity. You get aroused in the devotion of creation. There can be a lack of discipline here. So, there's ways to use conjunctions, but you've got her approaching the sun, conjunct Jupiter and Uranus, all in the constellation of Taurus, which is her home constellation. So this energy is just really, really amazing. It's really, really incredible. I think that whatever that is going to happen over that weekend from the 11th to the 14th, it's going to set us up for this new cycle of manifestation, this new abundance cycle that we're all very much looking forward to as these big players, Jupiter and Uranus, move through Taurus. And then I've tried to make this as graphically pleasing as possible, but what I've got here is I've extended this calendar a little bit into June just to give y'all a sneak peek of this greatly anticipated conjunction. This only happens every 20 months. Okay, so this is a big deal. This is as much a big deal as a superior conjunction when we have a Venus star point and Venus is retrograde very close to us. She actually affects gravity when she's that close to us. But here, this is when we go from morning star to evening star. So you guys want to stay on top of this. Morning to evening star. Okay, we won't see her for a while. She's going to disappear for a little bit because she's so close to the orb of the sun that in order to see her, especially right here, they're conjunct. She's way out there in space. So, but the orb of energy is approaching us, and it will be very palpable as she moves into Taurus, as she conjuncts Jupiter and Uranus. So we'll be feeling this. We'll be feeling this swelling of energy towards the end of her transit through Aries. So a more and more perfect conjunction. So you'll definitely want to check out the Venus transits through Taurus, which will be out in a couple of weeks, right? Because this Aries transit is so short. So do me a favor, guys, like this video if you love this content. I don't foresee myself going anywhere in the near future. I am going to dive deeper into Venus energy. We're going to keep adding courses to learn.drdanny.com. A lot of exciting things are coming for me, for this YouTube channel, for my website in the coming months. And so I'm so excited to have you guys on board and with me. You can also join the Fellowship of 13 Signs. We're growing over there too. We just reached over 200 followers for that group. So if you want to join us over there, I post almost every day. And that's everything. So I'll leave all the links in the comments and I will see you guys in a couple of weeks, my Venus lovers. I love you all. Namaste.